Hey there, Hofstra fans, and welcome inside the WB Mason Coaches Report here on GoHofstra.com. I'm Julian Coltree, joined by the head coach of the Hofstra Pride baseball team, John Russo. Coach, how's it going today?
Good, Julian. Thanks for having me.
Well, last week you finally had that first elusive home game of the season. You guys took on Fordham in the middle of the week. Before we kind of dive right into what happened, what were your thoughts on the game?
It's super good to be at home. I think in the last 2 years we're like 32-9 at home, and I think we're real comfortable playing home. We play a really different style at home. I think it validates our road record some because it's hard to win on the road at somebody else's home. And guys were just happy to be at home. There you could tell a different spirit about them and a more comfort level. It's an easier day. Go to classes, just come out, not have to travel, not to be doing work on buses, and overall, it's just a nice experience, win or lose.
You guys picked up the victory, and in part due to the day that Brian McDonald had. Now, on the pitcher's mound, he wound up being replaced after 3 innings, but he also picked up a grand slam. So we'll start with his offense. What have you seen from him this year, and how exciting was it for him and for you guys when he picked up that big hit?
For him to hit a home run on that day was really impressive. I mean, super cold. It was about 40 degrees, wind blowing in and a little bit from that direction. Ball usually doesn't travel here at all when it's cold. And, I think when he got that, we all pretty much knew it was a home run and that much impressive. And, he's just had a great year offensively. He's gotten most of all our big hits so far this year. And, it's almost gotten to the point we expect him to do that type of stuff. And super impressed with his approach at the plate and, the thought process he has for hitting, and I think he's a really good hitter that, has done a lot of damage so far. Been really impressed with him in that way, and more importantly, I think he's really tough and hard-nosed baseball player that fits our style great.
You move on to the mound. He allowed 3 runs, 2 of which were earned. You wound up getting yanked after about 3 innings. Do you think it was just a matter of the cold, or what was it that, gave up those runs early on in the game?
I think he lost his mind almost. I mean, he was just out of whack right from the get-go. I don't know what was going on. He was out of whack. It was just unusual. He usually competes a lot, and, he didn't make great pitches, and I think he was out there way thinking too much and overthinking the whole deal, maybe being at home wanting to show everybody, stuff. I really don't know, but it wasn't typical Brian McDonald type pitching that we had seen so far this year, and we'll just give it a pass and move forward and try to get him back on the mound maybe tomorrow for like an inning of relief or something of that nature to get him back in there.
The most impressive part was the fact that your bullpen wound up coming in and keeping it a close game and then allowing Brian McDonald to redeem himself with a grand slam. So what'd you like from the bullpen?
I thought Graham Tebbett was outstanding. He went 5 innings, really good, 7 strikeouts, really good composure out there on the mound, really, what you hope to see from a senior. We saw that from his last outing at Incarnate Word when he had a start on a, Saturday game there, and, same thing. And to be honest, that's not a guy we've seen all that much of in his 2-year career so far. And super happy it's came and super happy he's here. And, I know this for sure. He's worked hard enough. He's done all the right things. And for him to have success on the field is just, tip of the cap to him for, staying after it, working that hard, and super proud of him. And we're very well deserving of what he got this week.
Let's talk about the lineup a little bit, other than Brian McDonald, because in that inning where the grand slam came, there were a lot of quality at-bats, a couple of good at-bats, players taking pitches, 1 hit by pitch that allowed you guys to score a run. So as far as the depth of the lineup and everything that you saw in that game, did you think it was top-notch or in the middle of the pack, or maybe you want to see more?
I think something we got in that game that was good was, we got 3 hits from Michael Friel. Mm-hmm. We were looking for another guy to step up in the lineup, and that was good for him to get the 3 hits. We were looking for, a guy in the 9-hole to get hit. T.J. Ersham got the inning going with a good quality at bat single. He slashed when it was a bunting situation, really good read, senior type play, and, big contribution there. And then Dalton got hurt during the game, and you saw Brad Witowski come off the bench and have really good at-bats. I think he had 2 hits and 4 at-bats. But then, Kenny Jackson and Matt Ford don't have much of a day at all, at-wise. But like you said, in that grand slam, they had a hits, batsman, and a walk right before to get it to Brian McDonald. So they contributed in the ways they still do, even though it might not show up on the stat sheets. But then, it was nice to see some other guys contribute with hits in spots in the order where we've been struggling this year.
Now, no games this past weekend, so what was the regiment like to go from that game against Fordham and get you guys ready for this week when you don't have a weekend series?
Well, we're starting to prepare right now for Towson, and we have some thought process on how we want to approach them, and things we want to do. We're pretty familiar with them, being now this will be my 6th year facing them and knowing what they're about and how they do things. And Coach Gottlieb has a great team this year. They're over 500. They're most of the guys returning from his regional team last year, and a lot of kids, hitters, batters, pitchers, guys that we know in their lineup that we could start to prepare for. So we started to work on that some this week. We had the alumni game on Saturday, which was great, and good to see them and be able to play and hang out with those guys and just spend the day that way. And then kept the pitchers on a routine that's getting them ready for next weekend also. We got the 2 midweeks this week, but I think most of our focus has pretty much been towards Towson here in the last week or so.
As far as some of those midweek games that you talked about, St. John's, Marist, weather permitting, because obviously snow again in the forecast, and we're in the Northeast, and it's spring, but the calendar hasn't, or the weather hasn't been able to show it. But what are your thoughts on a couple of teams that are in the local area, like the St. John's Red Storm?
St. John's, I don't know if there's a hotter team in the country right now than them. They've won, I think, like 10 in a row or 8 in a row. They're coming off a 3-game sweep at James Madison, a CAA opponent, and playing really good baseball in the last 2.5 weeks. And it's always been a good rivalry game for us when we play them. We have a lot of rivalries in recruiting also, and so I know a lot of people will be paying attention to it tomorrow. And then Marist, they're a super well-disciplined coach team. They do everything the right way and play the game good. So you're going to always get a tough game to them. We were able to beat them 2 years ago up at their place, but it was probably one of our best games played all season, and we won by a run. So it was really a tough opponent, but a good week. Anxious to hopefully play, of course, but more importantly to see some more pitching. I want to see a couple more guys one more time before we get into the Towson series this weekend to see who we can go to in this 3-game series against Towson, to figure out whose guys we can go to count on to shut them down.
Finally, Coach, what's going to be God bless you.
Thank you.
Finally, Coach, what's going to be the most important thing as far as this week goes, other than just seeing pitching?
I think getting outside would be really nice. Just to play would be great, because I think that's what we need. We've had some time off now since Wednesday, and I'd hate to lose Tuesday and Wednesday and have our first game against Towson be on Friday and been off for a week and a half. And so I think the utmost importance right now is get onto the field tomorrow and Wednesday to play. And but like you said, the weather doesn't look great right now, but we'll play it each day by ear. And most times Mother Nature wins in her victory. So whatever she decides to do, we'll do. But I hope we can get outside.
Coach, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Remember, Hofstra fans, you can tune into the WB Mason Coaches Report each and every week right here on GoHofstra.com.